delighted to have in the virtual studio today, Lori Saitz. And she has a dramatic story opening, which I've decided to read because I hope it introduces Lori Saitz to our audience. And I'm so glad that you've joined us for this episode of The People Dividend. Here's what Lori's bio says. When I was a child, and I referred to Lori, when I was a child, my report cards regularly included notes such as, Lori is very bright, but she needs to learn how to speak up in class. Sure, Lori was plenty talkative around family and good friends, but if she was out shopping and needed to find a bathroom, her mother could never persuade her just to ask that lady over there where it is. You can imagine Lori's surprise when she was chosen by her sixth grade teacher to be captain of the safety patrols. The first clue leaders don't have to be loud and outgoing. So she goes on to describe that she remained pretty quiet throughout high school. So here we go into the origin story. And the moments after her parents drove away after dropping her off at American University, I'm also a graduate of American University. I have a master's in organization development from there. I headed straight for the campus TV station. First semester, I auditioned for and got a weekly show on the campus radio station. That's pretty cool. I wonder how big the beam is at that part of DC. For the first 2 years of college, she was a broadcast major, and we are going to learn why she changed focus. She actually worked as an on-air radio personality in South Florida, and she still does voiceover work. So we'll have a pleasant voice today on The People Dividend. I'm so grateful for that. So let's move forward. This is like sort of forward, but sort of backwards at the same time to 2003. She launched the Zen Rabbit Baking Company, which is a wonderful name for a firm. The Zen Rabbit Baking Company introduced the world to the gratitude cookie. I think about gratitude, but I think about a recent episode of The People Dividend, which was on Generosity Wins. I'd encourage you to go and read that book. But this is different. This is in the realm of gratitude. And today, what I love about what Lori Saitz is doing is she's working in her zone of genius, helping clients to learn to be calm and grounded no matter what's going on around them. And anybody who's done any cooking knows that's a factor. She's currently a member of Success Champion Network, recently a member of the executive women's organization Her Corner, and involved with the NSA, National Speakers Association. She served as a pre-GED teacher and adult literacy tutor, and is a strong proponent for increasing literacy worldwide. While not working out with clients or speaking on a stage, you can find Lori Saitz at the gym, loves Thai food, classic rock music, baking, making gratitude cookies, but it happens rarely anymore. We can talk about that. And currently living in Northern Virginia. So Lori Saitz, welcome to The People Dividend.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, Mike. And there's a little bit of a correction to where I live, but we can talk about that.
Say it.
I actually left my apartment in Northern Virginia almost a year ago, and I've been living nomad life, cat sitting across primarily the southeast part of the United States.
Oh, wonderful. And where does it find you when we're recording this podcast today?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, Raleigh. Wonderful. That's great. Well, I've got so much to ask Lori Saitz on today's episode of The People Dividend. And, as founder of this thing called Zen Rabbit, which was a forward-thinking health and wellness company, Lori's really dedicated to getting business leaders toward creating and nurturing healthy, more productive work environments. And who wouldn't want that? I mean, I think everyone does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with
they say they do.
Yeah, at least they say they do. I'm with you in that regard. So with a comprehensive background in wellness strategies, employee engagement, her mission is to share easy to implement tools and techniques that not only improve the well-being of employee teams, but also contribute to their bottom line through enhanced performance, improved morale, increased retention, and engagement. So, Lori Saitz, what do the high-performing business leaders do to sharpen their leadership skills, decision-making abilities, and creativity. That's a lot in that. Leadership skills, decision-making abilities, and creativity. What do high-performing leaders do to sharpen those skills?
There is a practice that a lot of them subscribe to that is so simple, costs virtually nothing, and yet so many people just won't or don't do it. And it is a lot of times discounted because it's so simple. But what it is in however you want to describe it, it could be described as calming exercises, grounding exercises, and a lot of them refer to it as meditation. And I put meditation as last because so many people, when you bring up the word meditation, go, oh yeah, I'm not good at that.
Why do people say that? I mean, given the variety, I always think about meditation in two forms: active meditations, passive meditations. And I think they're worthwhile to interrupt during the day, maybe in that positive psychology coaching language. It's to interrupt the saboteurs that take over.
Yes, I'm familiar with the positive intelligence program. Yes, it is to do that, and it's also it rewires the brain. Like it physically rewires the brain and how you think and how you process information, which makes these leaders better at focusing, better at making intelligent decisions from a place of responding instead of reacting from that reptilian part of the brain.
You say, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lori.
Oh, I was just going to say, it helps in so many different aspects of being a leader and being a good human.
Right.
It's hard to believe that everybody in the world is not practicing. Everybody who wants to be a high performer is not practicing this.
Yeah, well, my next book coming out, hopefully in the fall, it's at the final editors, and hopefully I'll have it back by the end of the month, is The People Dividend. Same name as the podcast. I like to keep things simple. Leadership strategies for unlocking potential. And just as you were crafting your story, crafting your message, I think that so much of The People Dividend is about creating these kinds of environments that yield all of the same dividends that you're suggesting here in terms of productivity, engagement, more money. Everybody's always happy with that. But you say improving productivity is not about time management. It's about quieting the direct distractions in your head. Can you say some more about that, Lori Saitz?
Absolutely. People don't need to know how to time block their calendars as much as they need to know how to push aside the distractions. We live in a society that throws so many distractions at us. And regardless of what's happening in the outside, social media and all of the news and whatever, even before that, the distractions that are going on in your head, the argument you had with your partner before you left the house this morning, the conversation you're thinking about that you need to have with your dad about taking away his car keys, whatever it is, those distractions that are going on in your head that are taking over your attention are what are keeping people from being focused and being productive more than, I don't know how to fit this into my schedule.
Now, it seems that these are two different things, but it's right up your alley. How gratitude or, that's what makes me think it's two things, meditation can transform your work life in simple ways to incorporate them into your daily routine. So let's talk about gratitude first.
Yeah. Gratitude is such a powerful concept. And again, there's so much science and research behind how it works, how it affects your brain chemistry. It's really interesting. And so these two concepts work in tandem. They can work separately or together. But, for example, when we're talking about workplaces and improving workplaces, gratitude, I mean, aside from being like showing gratitude for your colleagues and your teammates is, kind of like the right thing to do, right? You feel like it's important to let them know that you appreciate working with them. But beyond that, there's so much research into how it enhances productivity. There was a study done that showed that 81% of employees felt more motivated to work harder when they felt that their work was appreciated by their boss. And so
seems like we don't.
There was another study that people who practiced gratitude were 50% more productive than those who didn't. Mm-hmm. So we're not just talking about like, oh, this is a nice concept. We're talking about a concept that actually has research behind it of how and why, the fact that it does make people more productive.
Yes, it's interesting to me as we think about the evolution of work, and particularly attracted to some of the concepts that you discussed. In my upcoming book, I talk a lot about Doug McGregor, sort of the influence on my mentors and subsequently me. And I think about what you were just saying in terms of if you pay attention to people, they tend to perform better. Clearly, this has its roots in humanism, humanistic management. I call people-centric management, people-centric behavior. But to think about its evolution. So, starting with Taylorism and machine-like behaviors, trying to exude productivity through measurement and observation, and through to the humanists like McGregor and Maslow, Rogers, and others, so that we see this inculcation of humanistic values, respect, dignity, knowing that individuals are in process. And that gets substituted then by consumerism and by the sort of customer experience movement, and where it really becomes about quality and service. And I think it's time, given all that you've said, that we have this return to people centricity. After all, you really can't have a company without people.
Right. And to get maximum value from that company, treating people like people.
Yeah.
As the humans they are, and allowing them to bring their full selves into the workplace instead of having to compartmentalize.
Now, let's get you to the second part of the question is, how can meditation transform your work life in simple ways to incorporate it into your daily routine?
Yeah, going back to what those high-performing business leaders are doing, they're practicing meditation to make them more focused, more creative, more innovative, and to create better relationships. Because when you're let's say you're starting your day, that's one of the questions I get asked a lot is like, when's the best time to meditate? And there really is no best time. It's whenever it works for you. Personally, I like to do it first thing in the morning because it sets the intention for the day. And when you are deliberately, intentionally setting an intention for the day, you're setting yourself up for success. And so that's what meditation does, essentially.
Yeah, on my TikTok channel, I just did a video on the very kinds of things that you're talking about, but particularly around a morning routine. Mm-hmm. And for most of my clients who are super busy, they've got enormous responsibilities, both technical and people, spiritual, I think as well. And it's a way to start to think about how you can bring the most of who you are to what you do and get the best. But we have a deficiency in this country. We have scads and way too many bad managers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where it comes down to each individual having the responsibility for managing themselves. Mm-hmm. And taking things into their own hands as far as managing their thought processes, managing their emotional state. And that's one of the things that meditation helps you do. It helps you come from a calm and grounded place, no matter what is going on around you. And that's part of what I bring into the workshops that I take into corporate and work with people and teach them are, how do you do this? And how do you do it in a way that doesn't take hours? That's another, like, meditation or calming, grounding exercises can be done in as few as 3 minutes and have a profound effect on your physical and mental health.
Lori Saitz, does spirituality belong in the workplace?
Absolutely, it does. People.
How so? Could you describe that some more?
Yeah. Spirituality is very different from religion. And I think for a long time, people have gotten the two crossed or associated as, closely associated. But spirituality is about spirit, like your soul, your spirit. That's the essence of who you are. And it has nothing to do with religion. At the same time, your spirit, your soul is always looking for growth. And so if you can feed it, and this is what I was talking about earlier, about being able to bring your full self to work. This is where bringing your spirit into it, not having to pretend to be somebody that you're not, to do a job that maybe doesn't fulfill you. That spirituality definitely belongs in the workplace. Being allowed to bring your full self and your full spirit to the job. That's where people can be the most productive.
But, and this is serious too, because, having done like my shamanic studies, I mean, there are bad spirits too. We don't want bad spirits in the workplace.
Absolutely, we don't. And I don't think that bringing that the spirituality that we're talking about is a little bit different than that. It's that spirit that comes, the word inspiration comes from this same place. Bringing that inspired self to work.
Oh, that's wonderful. And from Lori Saitz, I mean, we can certainly learn more about habits of meditation and how they lead to clear goals and purpose. We can learn about goal setting and achievement, all things that are important to many people, and work stories that she tells only her friends. That'd be good. Could you tell us one of those stories, Lori?
A work story I only tell my friends?
Yeah.
I don't know what. Well, I'm trying to think of one. If we go back to gratitude, and I think about one of my very first jobs that I had as actually an intern when I was at American University, and I was doing my last semester, had a boss who would every day that I was there would say thank you and express his gratitude for having me there. I wasn't getting paid. Communications majors don't get paid internship. And so, every day he would say, appreciate what you did, appreciate the work you did, whether it was stuffing envelopes or writing press releases, whatever it was, he was specific about his praise or his gratitude for it. And that just always stuck with me so many years ago, but so important because it almost didn't matter that I wasn't getting paid. I was getting paid with again, that fuel fuel to the soul.
And you can certainly learn a lot more about Lori, CEO of Zen Rabbit. Lori, where would you tell people? We'll have it in our show notes, but where would you tell people to visit you?
I am most frequently on LinkedIn. So
LinkedIn.
I invite listeners to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a note and say you heard me on the People Dividend podcast and reach out and connect there. And secondarily on my website, which is zenrabbit.com.
It's amazing. And as Lori stated way back when at the beginning of this podcast, she is currently living that nomadic life while cat sitting, mostly in the Southeast, and coming to us today recording this episode from Raleigh. And you can often find her when she's not out speaking and doing all these other things in her sanctuary, also known as the weight room at the gym. She also loves cupcakes, Thai food, as we described earlier, and classic rock music. It's quite lovely. Lori, so just as we wrap up and move into the final part of the People Dividend podcast, what's one piece of this inspiration that you would offer for the remainder of the year?
The one piece of inspiration I would offer to people is to refocus on what they have in their lives to be grateful for. Again, our society is so focused on complaining and criticizing. And we don't need more of that. We need more focus on gratitude and finding it wherever it is. And so I can offer a quick exercise for your listeners if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
Helping to refocus. And again, is this going to help rewire the brain? So anytime you find yourself complaining or criticizing about anything that's going on personally or in the world, catch yourself and say, but I am grateful for what? I am grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful for this beautiful cup of tea I have today, or I'm grateful for the weather, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be related to the situation you're complaining about. Catch yourself. And every time, do that. And you're going to start rewiring yourself to see all the gratitude.
Thank you so much, Lori Saitz, CEO of Zen Rabbit. And until the next episode of The People Dividend, stay well.